I had a wonderful day today. Yesterday was bad. I did I tested all the CDs that we have. We have Not of the Flesh recently went over 40 releases. There's a ton more coming in. Not coming in. There's a ton more that I'm making that I'm putting together. A lot of stuff in the month of January, and this should be coming out in February, I think. I'm currently putting together some of those CDRs, and yeah, I was doing that, and I said, well, I really need to test everything that I have because I usually test it before I ship them out. Need to test everything out, make sure everything's good, and that was awful. Doing all the testing was awful, but it was a good day today because when I was doing inventory, just counting everything and making sure I had what I said I had on the Bandcamp page, I just listened to some of the stuff in my collection, and it really is. I don't give myself the chance to listen to physical copies enough, but it was kind of nice to just pull out a couple CDs. So that's what I have here. Roll the intro. Belligerent Bastard, and Eternal Cynic. This is dark ambient. A lot of I wouldn't call it noise, not thoroughly anyway. There's noise on here. If you like noise, you'll like it probably. Really cool, lots of vocal samples and things going on. I suppose it's two different artists. If you look on the back here, it's two different band camps that they give you: Belligerent Bastard and Eternal Cynic. I'm not familiar with either of these artists outside of or aliases anyway, outside of um, this release. But there is not a separation unless 1, 2, and 3 is Belligerent Bastard and 4, 5, and 6 is Eternal Cynic. That's a possibility. But yeah, this is definitely in the dark ambient kind of category. There are a lot of guys who play with dark ambient and kind of death industrial and stuff like that. I had a Contrite Heart release that was Longing for Shadows, and I was not really familiar with the death industrial term until then, and I was like, oh, so that's what that sound I made, and then I couldn't even believe it. I didn't remember making it, and I listened to it. I was like, oh my gosh, it's so harsh, so musical as well, but it's definitely noise. It's got texture to it. So the Death Industrial episode, the Death Industrial might have to be my next phase. This was talking about dark ambient. Path to Mysticism by Writhing. This is the Bile Ducks project. I actually haven't made this yet, so it's not something I listened to today. But I did want to it just at least announce we're putting this out. 1 second, let me clean you see that glare? I decided to go for natural light instead. Yeah, but now you can't even see it that well. Yeah, Path to Mysticism. It's a super cool cover. I was really it's gray on digital, so I was really not knowing how I was gonna print that out, but I kind of gave it a little bit of a you can't really tell there, but I kind of gave it a newsprint kind of look. Everything's peppered onto it because I was gonna get print lines if I tried to do it. If I tried to print it gray like it was. That's the Bile Ducks release. I haven't made it yet. I'm sure it'll be out by the time this episode comes out. I've got one that came out last night and one that's coming out next week, so this will be after that one. So these should all be ready to go. The one I didn't bring in here is Vasospasm, which is a very cool one from Texas. Allie, I believe her name is. Vasospasm, and I hope I'm saying that correctly. But that's the 1 3-inch. This here, Dead Astronaut in Space, should have been a 3-inch. I'll talk about that later. Actually, I'll talk about that now. This probably should have been a 3-inch. It was supposed to be a 3-inch. I didn't know it was supposed to be a 3-inch. I put it out as a 5-inch. By mistake, it's a little bit longer than the Vasospasm release. But I will say I like the cover on this. I don't know why. I just like that kind of thing. This is my personal copy. And we have begun using these CDRs. They're just ain't nothing to them. I write Sharpie on the top so that you know what side goes down without having to look at the middle of it. We have gone We have gone the cheap route, and we've also gone the Xerox cover route. I'm pretty much doing everything black and white now. Will that change? It's like we did the Kunaki color, high quality releases, and then we went completely opposite and went as cheap as possible. I want to be able to put out a lot of stuff. I want to be able to put out a lot of releases, and I want to be able to collect. It's I don't know, kind of an archival thing I'm going for. I can't explain my vision, folks, but this is the way we've been releasing stuff. At least this run of this January run has been that way, and I cannot tell you how much I love this piece. You get a like I was saying earlier, with a dark ambient kind of thing. You get a death industrial kind of thing. You get a lot of texture, a whole lot going on right off the bat. I saw Hell in the Bottle. This is probably my favorite out of the run. The end, the last track on this, A Look to God for the End. You would have thought it was Boards of Canada. It was beautiful. You just get to sink back. It's one of those ones that listening to it from the first track to the last track is really, really powerful. And again, this is one of my favorite things that we've put out. A Look to God for the End. Ooh, and the name Dead Astronaut in Space. The cover, the minimalism of it all, but also it has music, it has noise that is all done really, really well. I'm a huge fan of Dead Astronaut in Space. Completely new to me, but this is one that I really recommend. The Source series. I listened to 3 Source Walls. If you don't know what the Source physical only run series is, there's about 40 of them. I'm making them. I'll go back to making them. I haven't made any in a while, but they are just noise walls. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. I would say this one really shined the most. But there's some sometimes I'm listening to these things and looking back and saying, well, I was trying some interesting things. I wish I would think about that more. And that's the whole idea behind doing these. It's just noise. It's just me making an archive of noise and experimenting and putting art on that I like on it as well. A lot of head explosions from manga. Yeah, those old 90s manga with way too much gore. They just look great on the cover. And those giant monsters that they were always fighting in Gantz. So yeah, these are not available on Bandcamp because they're physical only. That's just an archival collection, more for me than anyone, of noise walls. I make 5 copies each, so I've been thinking about a way that I can send them off. A lot of times I'll send them off as extras when I do a Bandcamp order. Sometimes I'll throw a couple extra things in there with the CD that I send. I've used them. I've traded them a lot. If you've seen any of the trades I've done on Instagram with a lot of artists, I will throw some of those in. But they're physical only. They're not available on. I will say, I'm thinking about like the next grouping I'm going to do of them because I have about 10 more to do still. And these are very quiet. These are just softer. But and a lot of the times it'll be there's a lot of hisses in there, and there's a lot of but also it's more complex than a lot of other things because there's just so much more sampling and so much more, because that is what, I don't know if you've seen my giant box of tapes over here. That's what I'm using tapes for, is I'll run a cassette through my mixing board, which is either sound that I've taken from either field recordings or sound that I've taken from video games or just old radio shows. This Sherlock Holmes is a good example of that. In classical music, I've got a few classical music tapes sitting around. Hymns are very good to use. Plays are very good to use. But yeah, it's a lot of samples. It's a lot of noise walls. I don't know how to explain those to you. But I'm thinking about doing a mystery box cheaper than our first batch because our first batch is 15 CDRs for um 15 our first 15 releases for $40 is what that costs. I'm thinking about doing 10 CDs for $20. But they're either because I've taken a lot out of what I did was if I had any more than 5 of the releases that are on Not of the Flesh, I took the extras out. I left 5 for each release that we've done. Anything that's not sold out, there's less than 5 of it. I didn't keep any more than 5 because we sell almost nothing after it's come up to 2 weeks after it's come out. So I took some of those out, and I will either use those for trades or like mystery packs, I suppose. And I'm also going to use the source ones for the mystery packs. So it would be half and half. That's what my collection looks like. Also, they're physical only. That's all I can say about them. So I can't like post them on Bandcamp because it's the rule. They're physical only. That's the purpose of them. But I make about 5 of those every time I make one. So yeah, I'll find a way. There's also like the Bastard Sword, self-titled. Before Contrite Heart was called Contrite Heart, it was called Bastard Sword. That self-titled release was on Hidden Window Recordings, and Hidden Window Recordings does not have a store. So I have just a massive stack of those. So that will probably be something to put in the mystery box. The Roman Shower, Ivan Reich split, The First Shame, was on Hidden Window as well. There's a few other Hidden Window things that I just don't have the ability to sell. I can't sell them on the Not of the Flesh page because they're not of the Flesh releases. Same things with these. These are not really Not of the Flesh releases. Yeah, and I'll try to make those worthwhile as possible. If anyone is interested in them and I haven't done them yet, let me know. If I have done them, I will put a link in the description to the mystery packs. 10 CDRs for $20. The OVMN head tapes split. This was Woods Mattress was on this, and as was OVMN. Oh, this does have a little bit of a mat on there as opposed to the regular. I thought it was kind of classic, like what I was doing. Yes, head FU. I'm not understanding what's called FU. What says FU? Head obviously represents the label Head Tapes. But this is there's a lot of artists that are good with overwhelms. I would say that Roman Shower is in that category, and I would say that Woods Mattress is in that category. You listen to noise, you focus on noise, and then it surprises you, it shocks you, it kind of brings you into a big space. And these guys are overwhelmed guys. These guys are tastefully play with their synths. They tastefully use their oscillators. That is an incredibly harsh release. That's very, very harsh. And I don't know how you would find it. It's not digital, I don't think. Yeah, I think that's another physical only kind of release. It might be on their Bandcamp, but I'm not sure. I don't know that it is. So I don't know how they went about selling that, but he sent me that just as a gift, I suppose, or it was a trade. No, I think he charged me for it. I can't remember. But anyway, it's a really cool thing to have. Again, because I don't know how else you would have found it. And it makes me not feel bad about because I do releases like this. And I forgot to say, Inner Demon is one of the #1 labels that does releases like this. And it's a ton of stuff. And just like I was saying, like you get a lot of walls on there. They have a lot of he puts a lot of walls on there, but there's complete diversity. But the covers all look like that. The covers all look exactly like this. So you don't look at it and think diversity. You just see a bunch of names of artists and you're like, okay, but you have to listen. You have to scratch past the surface of what Inner Demon Records looks like, and just explore the sound, man. It's awesome. As is this. Another really great release that came out on Not of the Flesh, and I think I mentioned this even when it came out on Gates of Hypnos. Gates of Hypnos is doing 5 releases a week, at least. Seven. I don't know. A lot. At least 5 a week. The Marax and Seder Ritual split. Neither of these are walls. Not walls. If you are a non-waller, these are not walls. But I think if you, it's kind of perfect for everybody. It's a general noise release. Very cool though. I love the art. I was pleased to put it out, and you get full sparse textures. You get overwhelming textures from them. And I bought myself a little treat. Makita Power Electronics 777. This has been out forever on Phage tapes. And Phage mostly does vinyl, which is interesting. And they got a couple stickers in there. I got obviously the white version is white vinyl. They also have like a cardboard cover one and a black one. The black one has the most pressings. So I don't know what Phage is doing. They have a ton. It's a label that looks a lot like our label. There's a lot. But they do big numbers, and they do vinyl, so it's pretty interesting. We're obviously big Makita fans. Christian noise, Makita is one of the number one artists. Am I Judas just gets in my head. I just start thinking about that piece of music all the time. Yeah, we did the Jesus Story Through the Eyes of the Child, but before I was familiar with Makita, and yeah, he's a massive force as far as Christian power electronics go. That's a pretty big deal. We don't have a lot of people like that, and yeah, he's out there, an encouraging, inspiring fella. From Apartment 213, which it's interesting. I feel like a lot of people know Makita from Apartment 213, but I know Apartment 213 from Makita. Yeah, I'm super excited to put all these out. Check this Writhing release will be out on Not of the Flesh. I'm sure there will be even more that I'm not familiar with right now by the time that you're checking it out. Hopefully I'll do those mystery packs. The original 40 source releases and the cardboard covered source ones will probably go pretty quickly. But for right now, it's half source physical only and half random Not of the Flesh releases. So depending on what you want, you might get it. I could kind of organize them like and some few hidden window releases from when I did physicals for them. But yeah, I would kind of like to set it up like Pokemon packs or whatever it is. Just do like Not of the Flesh source, and then some really good one, like some random stuff, like all stuff that I did, and then you get something that somebody else did at the end. Anyway, yeah, there's a lot to we have a lot that we've put out, so $2 CDs is not something that I'm opposed to doing in a mystery pack. And there's never been a way to buy those source physical only releases before. And I'm going to try to take them to another level. I'm going to try to make them. I've learned a lot with noise. So Godspeed. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching Noise with Ivan. Make sure you listen to More Than You Make and enjoy.